When I was really struggling with chronic anxiety, I wasted a lot of time and energy trying to fix it by overcoming my anxious thoughts. I ended up spinning my wheels for years because I was overlooking what anxiety really is. It's a holistic problem and it needs a holistic solution. It needs to be addressed in the body first and then the mind. So, if you've been struggling with anxiety for a long time and you're tired of feeling like it's always 2 steps forward and 10 steps back, then this video is for you because I'm going to break down this 2-step process that finally worked for me to actually reduce my chronic anxiety naturally and keep it from coming back for good. So, if you'd like a free guide to also help with these steps, the link is in the description below. Hey there, I'm Jess. If you're new here, I'm a certified yoga teacher and a holistic nutritionist that specializes in mood balancing and cognitive health. And I also used to struggle with chronic anxiety and burnout. And now I help anxious, overwhelmed women take back control of their mental health by using science-backed natural techniques that actually work. So if you're anything like I used to be, you've probably tried everything you can think of to stop anxiety. Maybe sometimes you feel like you're making progress, but then something stressful happens and you fall right back into that anxiety spiral. Or maybe like me and my clients, you've tried the traditional therapy and medication and we're left still feeling anxious. Or maybe you've tried some natural techniques like meditation, but telling a highly anxious person to sit still and not think is like throwing a weighted blanket at a tornado and saying, calm down. It's not always effective. I felt anxious like this for most of my 20s, and then in my early 30s, after a really stressful time, my nervous system finally burnt out. My mental health had gotten so bad, I literally couldn't keep living the way I was. I couldn't go to work, I couldn't function anymore. It felt like everything was crumbling. And I had a small moment of clarity, and I knew I had to decide. Was I going to keep shrinking my life to accommodate my anxiety? Or was I going to learn how to control it and live the life that I wanted? And I wanted to try. So I tried absolutely everything. I tried supplements, food changes, different forms of exercise, meditation, therapy, journaling, you name it, I tried it. And this was years. After years of trial and error, I kept refining and failing and restarting. And I finally found the important things that actually make a difference in my anxiety levels. And now I can honestly say that I can face major stress without spiraling into panic or get stuck in that endless fight or flight loop. So let's get into it. I'm going to share these 2 very powerful shifts that I made to overcome anxiety so you can start taking back control of your mind and your body too. These things will work with you regardless of where you are with your anxiety. So if you've been taking medication or if not, or if you're just starting learning how to heal, or if you've been at it for years, these tips will help you regardless. Okay, so the first major breakthrough I had in overcoming anxiety was realizing this. Anxiety does not just live in your mind, it lives in your body too. I am a really logical, kind of analytical person, so I thought that with therapy, I could think and reason my way out of anxiety. And not only was this ineffective, it was exhausting. Therapy was really great because it gave me really valuable perspective and it did help me make better life choices, but it didn't stop my panic attacks and it didn't calm my nervous system. Most of us think that racing thoughts are the root of the problem with anxiety, so we focus only on the mind. But the truth is, one of the fastest, most powerful, and easy ways to calm your mind is to start with your body. And when I began focusing on changing my nutrition, movement, and implementing some breath work, that's when I started to notice real differences in how my nervous system was reacting to things. I was finally able to interrupt that fight or flight loop that I've been stuck in for years. So I'm gonna quickly break down the exact changes that I made so you can start applying them too. First up is nutrition. So if you are skeptical about using nutrition to reduce anxiety, you're not alone. Most people completely underestimate how powerful it is. I definitely used to. When we talk about mental health, it's usually talked about as an afterthought, if it's even mentioned at all. But latest studies show that it's actually a super powerful tool for changing your anxiety levels. We even have a field of science called nutritional psychiatry, where scientists have become trained in nutrition to help people overcome even the most severe mental health challenges. So nutrition habits and habit changes are different for everyone, but here are some evidence-based diet changes that I made to help reduce my anxiety. First, I increased tryptophan-rich foods in my diet. These are things like turkey, oats, and seeds. Tryptophan is what our body uses to make the neurotransmitter serotonin in our body. It's also known as the happiness hormone. It's essential for reducing anxiety. And most anxious people are depleted in serotonin, hence the anxiety medication, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. The next thing I did is I made sure to boost my magnesium intake. So things like leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, cacao, all of these things are high in magnesium, and magnesium is a nutrient that helps us feel calm. I also added more antioxidants to my diet, so berries, colorful veggies, especially bell peppers, green tea. This helps to reduce overall inflammation in the body, and inflammation contributes to poor health in the mind and the body. So the next thing I did was I made sure that I was eating in a way that kept my blood sugar stable and encouraged the health of my gut. Soaring and crashing blood sugar levels can contribute to overall inflammation and mood disorders. And most of our peripheral serotonin is made in our guts. So the health of your gut really helps to determine the level of serotonin. So diets that improve these two things are essential. If you are feeling a little overwhelmed with all of this, let me make it easy for you. The best ways to do all of these things are to, one, eat more whole foods. Eating whole foods encourages more protein, fiber, nutrients, anti-inflammatory fat, all of which help reduce anxiety levels. And number two, cut the amount of processed foods you eat to about 20% of your diet. Most of us know the processed foods aren't good for us. If you want to know more about that, I have another video about how processed foods affect your mental health. I will put the link to it. But reducing processed foods to less than 20% of your diet is a really great way to help improve your mental health and reduce your anxiety. Okay, the second concept to know about relieving anxiety through your body is movement. Movement or exercise can be a really powerful tool for managing anxiety, but there's a catch. If your nervous system is highly dysregulated, intense workouts can actually make it worse. So instead of going all in at the gym, focus on gentle, mindful movement and bonus points if it's outside. This might look like doing less than you're physically capable of, but the goal right now isn't to burn calories, it's to re-regulate your nervous system. So things like somatic exercises, walking, stretching, gentle yoga, these are incredibly regulating. And they don't push your breathing and heart rates up too high, which can trigger an anxiety attack. And once your body feels safe again, you can work your way back up to that more higher intensity training. So the last important piece to relieving anxiety in the body is breathwork. Your breath is the fastest way to calm your anxiety if you know how to use it. So techniques like box breathing, where you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4, can help to override those panic signals and reset your nervous system fast. This technique is even used by first responders and military people to help balance your nervous systems in times of high stress. There are certain breathwork methods that include gentle breath holds that can teach your nervous system how to stay calm under pressure. And again, if you want a step-by-step guide to using nutrition, breathwork, and stress mapping techniques to manage anxiety, grab my free beginner's guide, 3 strategies for managing anxiety naturally. It's linked in the description below. So start here, start with the body, because when your body feels safe, your mind finally can too. So once you've quieted anxiety in the body, it becomes much easier to then get to the root of the problem, which lives in the mind. To start to address this, I want to give you a different perspective on anxiety, which is, what if instead of looking at anxiety like it's the problem, you looked at it for what it really is, which is a symptom of the problem? Hear me out. What if your anxiety wasn't something to run from or numb out from or push down so you can't feel it anymore? What if it was your brain's way of trying to keep you safe? What if the next time you felt anxiety start to bubble up, instead of trying to turn it off, you stopped to pause and question, what is my brain trying to tell me right now? Think of it like a check engine light in your car. The light itself isn't the issue. It's just alerting you that something under the hood needs attention. At its core, anxiety is fear, and it's usually an irrational fear. The thing is, just because a fear is irrational or seems irrational doesn't mean that it's not real to you. Your mind creates fear as a way to keep you safe. It's a survival mechanism. But when fear shows up in ways that don't seem to fit the situation, like you're panicking over an email notification or you feel paralyzed by a simple decision, that fear didn't come out of nowhere. It has roots. And that's where the real work begins. Instead of fighting your anxiety, what if you instead used it as a guide? Because fear is actually really useful. It points us in the direction of our triggers. And when you become aware of your triggers, you can trace them back to the deeper belief systems that they come from. So, for example, if speaking up in a meeting makes you feel really anxious, it might not be about the meeting itself. It could be a deep-rooted fear of judgment or rejection. Or if saying no to someone makes you panic, maybe it's tied to an old belief that setting boundaries means you're selfish. Your anxiety might not make rational sense to your conscious mind, but deep in your unconscious mind, your brain is telling you that for some reason you're not safe. Once you identify the real belief behind your anxiety, that's when you can start to change it. Subconscious limiting beliefs are usually pretty extreme sounding and they're really definitive. They're like clickbaity headlines. Like, everyone thinks I'm stupid, or I'm really bad with money, or I'm unworthy of fill in the blank. But there's a way to overcome them. These subconscious limiting thoughts are only powerful when they live in your subconscious mind. When you actually pull them out of your subconscious into your conscious mind, shine a light on them, you can look at them objectively and then start to poke holes in them. Like, let's take that belief, I am bad with money. Okay, but are you always bad with money? Have you ever had some savings, or were you able to make a big purchase or pay your bills? Are you bad with money, or have you made some choices to spend money on things for the wrong reasons? Do you really think you're bad with money? Are those your words, or are they someone else's? Sometimes we have subconscious thoughts running through our heads that aren't even ours. It's just something that we've picked up from someone else and they've been running in the background ever since. One of my other favorite categories of subconscious thoughts are those everyone thinks I'm fill in the blank. Everyone thinks I'm dumb. Everyone thinks I'm annoying. Everyone thinks I'm disorganized. When you discover one of these beliefs, ask yourself, who is everyone? Who do you think of when you think of everyone? Does this person or do those people's opinion really change your perspective on yourself? The more you challenge these beliefs, the less power they have over you. So think of this like a spring cleaning for your mind. What do you have stored down there that's taking up unnecessary space? The beauty of this exercise is that you don't need to change anything right away. Just becoming aware of these thoughts, that's enough to devalue them. After spending some time identifying my own limiting beliefs and helping others work through theirs, I noticed that most of them have something in common. They tend to be beliefs that go against a person's core values. So if the things you keep thinking in your deep subconscious mind are actually the opposite of who you are at your core, this opposition is what creates most of our anxiety. So when I say anxiety is a symptom, it's often a symptom of one of the following. It's a symptom of living your life in a way that's opposite to or crosses your core values. It's a symptom of living life in a way that somehow compromises your self-worth. It's a symptom of living in an environment that doesn't make sense to you or is in opposition to what you feel to be true. It's a symptom of living a lie in whatever way that means to you. In essence, it's a symptom of inauthenticity at your core. So if anxiety is a symptom of living in opposition to your core values and your self-identity, then in order to get rid of it, you need to live a life that's in alignment with these things. This is why setting boundaries, living in alignment with your values, and staying true to yourself aren't just nice ideas. They are necessary for calming anxiety at the root. When you're constantly pushing down your true needs, when you ignore your inner voice or you live by other people's expectations instead of your own, your nervous system stays on high alert. Your body perceives this disconnect between the actions that you're taking and what you truly feel to be right as a threat, triggering that fight or flight response over and over again. So once you identify your triggers and your beliefs, then poke some holes in those beliefs and start to realize that they're not true. You can then begin to rebuild new beliefs and make choices based on your core values. This is the final and critical piece in getting rid of anxiety at the root. Shifting limiting beliefs and strengthening your self-identity. And here's why that matters. When you start identifying your subconscious beliefs, the ones that are running quietly in the background, and then replace the limiting ones with empowering truths. You start showing up differently. You choose what truly aligns with your needs and values, which then strengthens your sense of self. And the stronger your sense of self becomes, the weaker anxiety's grip gets. Because here's the truth. When you make choices from a place of self-trust, confidence, and alignment, there is far less fear and way less anxiety. But when you make choices just to keep the peace, to avoid conflict, or just to be nice, you slowly chip away at your own sense of self-worth, which creates a distrust in yourself and creates anxiety. When you live your life trying to make everyone else happy, guess who ends up last? You. And when you constantly put yourself last, you teach yourself that your needs don't matter, that you can't trust you to take care of yourself. And that creates massive anxiety. So think about it like this. If you were in a long-term relationship where your partner treated you like what you thought was wrong or didn't matter, that your opinions were wrong, that you were incapable of making good decisions, and you were with this person for years and years, the relationship would slowly wear down your sense of self and your self-confidence. That's really harmful in a relationship. But when you're doing it to yourself, the emotional toll and the anxiety it creates is even worse. Most people do this to themselves for years without realizing it, and then develop crippling anxiety and have no concept of why. This is why the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. If you want to overcome anxiety, you need to rebuild that trust. And that starts with making decisions that support you first and foremost. Decisions that honor your values, not someone else's expectations. And those are the two biggest perspective shifts that help me get rid of my anxiety for good. If this message hit home for you and you're ready to reduce anxiety, but you're not sure where to begin, click the link in the description below to get my free guide. It'll help you get started with nutrition, breathwork, and then move on to the stress mapping exercises to start identifying what your triggers are. Anxiety can feel overwhelming and never-ending, but there's a way to reduce its power and live a life feeling more peace and more calm. And if you'd like to learn the specific steps that I walk through with my clients to help them take back control of their anxiety, watch this video next. Thanks for staying to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.